joined Toastmasters in July of this year. He is on his third speech from the Competent Communicator Manual. Tonight, he will briefly discuss how to address employee conduct and performance issues. I'd like to welcome Fred.
Hey, Fred!
The information that I'm going to share with you usually takes us about 3 days. I'm going to share with you about the managers of the VA. I'm going to attempt to go ahead and encapsulate all that knowledge, just give you the brief nuggets, or the most important nuggets that you would be able to, so that you will be able to go ahead and address employee conduct issues and performance issues. How many managers do we have in the room? Business owners?
Managers?
Yeah, I manage you.
How many managers do we have in the room? How many business owners? You have employees under you? You supervise employees?
Sure.
1, 2. Okay.
You supervise Frank?
As a manager, as a supervisor, as a leader, or an owner of a company, more often than not, you're going to have employees. You'll have good employees and maybe not so good employees. The not so good employees sometimes will go ahead and challenge you. And it comes to a point where if you don't know what you don't know, if you don't know how to deal with the situations, you will end up either in court, sued, get a EEO case filed against you, get a grievance, or what's called in the federal government an unfair labor practice. We live in a right-to-work state, so in a right-to-work state, we normally don't have a lot of unions. In the federal government, we have unions. We have to deal with unions. So my job is to deal with a lot of the union issues, a lot of the employee and labor relations issues. So let's take in consideration, let's assume that you have an employee. I'm your employee. I just reported, you just hired me, and I went through new employee orientation, and now you've given me the big, crucial conversation meeting. Okay, what's my expectations for my job, when I'm supposed to come in, my scheduled duty time, how long my lunch hour is. So all that's assumed that's already been taking place. So now we're going to go ahead and take the situation where I come in late, 15 minutes late. What do? Do you ignore it or do you address it? There's different situations that happen, different approaches to whatever the situation is, depending on the egregiousness of the situation. You might have an employee that all of a sudden you hired them because they were good looking, she was pretty, she had a good personality, he was very amicable, but then all of a sudden when I walk in the door, I'm the worst nightmare you've ever had. So how do you deal with that? My recommendation would be, as soon as I come in, you take me over to the side, and a non-threatening, non-aggressive, non-angry approach. Fred, I need to speak with you about something, okay? I noticed that you come in late. I need you to come in on time. Because when you don't come in on time, you disrupt the flow of work. Okay? We have an efficient work unit here, and when you don't do that, it disrupts the whole flow that we have here. And you commit to come in on time. You want to get a commitment from me. When I say yes, okay, not a problem. I'll go ahead and write this up. I'm not angry with you. I'm not upset. I just want you to know that we're both on the same page. Okay? We have to be on the same page. Okay? I'll sign it. You sign it. When you do that, it starts the paper trail. Because more often than not, when you have employees that eventually turn into problem employees, you have to have that documentation in place. Otherwise, I'll take you to court. I'll sue you and make you lose your business, especially if you're a private business owner. If I'm in federal employment, I'll go all the way. I'll file an EEO, I'll file a ULP, I'll file grievances, I'll try to get money. That's the way, unfortunately, the process works. And we have employees, and we have individuals, and there are people out there in the world that have that kind of mentality. Whether you work in a college, whether you work in federal government, whether you work in private industry, or whether you're a private business owner. You always have to be careful how you deal with these kind of situations. So let's move on. You gave me my paper, we're all okay, I understood, I gave you my commitment. I come in late again, 2 days later. Now what do you do? Anybody? Freak out. Ignore it.
Hit them.
Now you got lost in This is what I would recommend. Now you're gonna do a formal written counseling. The first one was just a feedback session. It was just a coaching, whatever you wanna call it. A counseling, a verbal counseling, a coaching, a feedback session. But you wanna document it. When you document it, it starts the process. Now I'm late, now you have a formal written counseling. You're gonna refer that initial counseling that you gave me, that feedback session, now in the formal. On this day, we spoke about this. You're coming in on time, reporting for duty on time. These are my expectations. And then within the body of that memo or that counseling, that formal counseling, you wanna include what's supposed to happen if I don't pay attention, if I don't change my conduct. That puts me on notice. I sign it, you sign it. What if I refuse to sign it? What do you do? Okay, that's fine. Employee refused to sign and you date it. That doesn't negate the fact that I'm responsible for reporting on time. When you do that, it starts happening. Next time, 2 days later, I come in late again, now it's a half an hour. Not just 10 or 15, now it's half an hour. Now I'm gonna challenge you. What are you gonna do? Now what I would recommend is you do a fact-finding inquiry. Now you're gonna bring all that paperwork in. The initial one, the written counseling, and now you're gonna sit with me. Do you remember this initial feedback paper that we documented the conversation? Yeah. Is this your signature? Yeah. Do you remember this one, the formal written counseling? Yeah. Is this your signature? Yeah. Did you understand what was being said, what was being discussed in the conversation? Yeah. So help me to understand why is it that you're choosing not to come in on time. You get all that information and then you move forward, whether it be an admonishment, a reprimand, whatever the case may be. And that's the basic stuff, that's the basic steps you take to be able to go ahead and take in consideration and take action towards somebody. I hope this helps.
Thank you.